British, French, and Americans were feeding them. And I thought it'd be over very quickly. I'm a kid from the country. I didn't have inside plumbing until I got out of high school. So I really appreciated things that was happening. I wanted to get to Berlin and see it on the ground. I heard all about it. And so about the 17th of July, 1948, I came back from Berlin to Rhine-Main and landed about noon. Supposed to go to bed. 3 men on the crew, co-pilot and engineer, pilot. I told my co-pilot, John Pickering, go to bed. Elkins, get to bed. I'll be back. I'm going to Berlin. I thought they'd send us back to the States when the airlift was over, which I thought was a few months. That's how dumb I was, just a throttle jockey. And I had my camera, so headed back. I'll be back tonight and start flying tonight. So I jumped on the airplane, had a buddy in Berlin with a Jeep. He said, when you get here, if you never get loose, I got a driver in a Jeep and take pictures all around the city. So I gave him had my buddy call him. I jumped on the airplane next to me with loaded dried potatoes, went to Berlin in this same flying suit, and before I wanted to go around to the Jeep, I wanted to get a movie of the approach over the bombed out buildings. Of course, if I ever got married, I could show the kids. Well, I went around the 2 miles to the approach end, airplanes coming over my head, runway behind me, shooting the movies. Suddenly, right up against my uniform, other side of the barbed wire, about 30 kids. It was July. They had on clean clothes, some were patched. They came right up against the fence, right in front of me. And they were friendly. Hitler's past and Stalin's future was their nightmare. An American style of freedom was their dream. Those kids had their heads screwed on straight. They were all elementary age, 8 to 14 roughly, and they, in that time I spoke with them, were just building me up. Look, weather's good in July. Wait till winter comes. Fog, you can't see, snow. When that happens, don't worry about us. We don't have to have enough to eat. Just give us a little. Someday we'll have enough to eat. But if we lose our freedom, we'll never get it back. Teaching me, an American, about freedom. They had a better idea than I did. Just came out of the States, had everything. They so impressed me. I stayed longer than I should. Looked at my watch. I've been there over an hour. So I got to go. Impulse to get back to the Jeep. I got to run. Turn to run. 2 steps. Voice came, wow, these kids are incredible. How come? Got a postgraduate degree in international relations. They're not even out of elementary school. Took off. Voice came back, overrode the strong desire to get the Jeep. And I stopped. I said, boy, I got to figure this out. And then I knew in a flash. During World War II and after, flew in many foreign countries in this uniform, walked down the street in those countries where the kids had some chocolate. And groups like that would chase you. And they, well, hey, surround you, shake you down. We want some American chocolate. But we'd always give it to them anyway. George Washington, the Continental Army, go through and they had some of the sweet they give the kids. That's nothing new. It's gone on in the military as long as we've been a nation. But the thing that's hit me all of a sudden was these kids had no chocolate during the war. And since, not enough to eat, and not one of 30, not one child of 30 put out their hand and said, give me. Not one, a gesture, or by voice inflection, dummy, don't you know we want some chocolate? Contrast that to the kids I'd seen every time before. Grab me arm, gimme. And it just blew my mind. Gratitude is one of the greatest things that can break down the wall of enmity between people, communities, nations, football teams even. But gratitude is that elixir that breaks down the wounds of enmity between people. And wow, when I realized the silent gratitude of these kids that had that control, I know if a grown person had been there, they'd have done it. But not these children. And so I thought, wow, I got to give them something. I would have anyway, but I'm so interested in it. I reached in my pocket, this right-hand pocket. All I pulled out was 2 sticks of Wrigley's Double Mint gum. I thought, holy cow, 30 kids will have bloody noses. Get out of here. And I started to leave. And that little impulse said, give them what you got. You'll never see them again. I should be in bed in West Germany. I'll never get back to the fence for weeks to break in my flight schedule. Give them what you got. The littlest decisions I ever made, the littlest decisions. The only reason I'm here right now is those kids, not me. Scrooge would have done the same thing. To turn around and give 2 sticks of gum to 30 kids. Now these young, wonderful children here are about that age from one of the schools right here. And I said, boy, took it out of my pocket. They came to attention, broke them in half, 4 pieces through the barbed wire. And then the rush came. And oh boy, boys and girls mixed. But they didn't fight. All the others wanted was a piece of the wrapper. And those with a half a stick carefully tore off the outer wrapper and passed it to the kids that didn't get any. And those that got the wrapper put it up their nose and smelled it. The aroma, smelled it and smelled it and smelled it. And their eyes got big. And when they remembered when they had some sweets, I stood there dumbfounded. So I got to do something about it, this thing, for these kids that are special. And I can't get back here for a week or more at least. So an airplane came over my head right about that time, landed in the runway behind me, and I got an idea. A red light came on. The idea came first. I thought, boy, I'm going to be right over their heads. I'll only be 75 feet in the air from these kids tomorrow, 3 times. Why don't I drop it out of the airplane, airmail it? Then the red light came on. You got to have permission, Halvorsen. You've been flying by the book all your life, but you can't do that without permission. And then I rationalized. Has anybody ever rationalized? That can get you in trouble. It makes the truth, something bad sound all right. That's bad news. And that's what I want these young people to do, because that's going to be on your examination when we get through. That's going to be on right there. So I rationalized it. You know, we're starving over 2 million people. What's a few pieces of chocolate bars? And then I, just horrified, found myself saying, come back tomorrow, stand in the open place between the bombed out building and the barbed wire fence. When I come over your head, I'm going to drop enough chocolate for all of you if you'll share it. Wow! Jawohl, jawohl, jawohl. I can still hear it. We'll share it, we'll share it. And boy, I didn't speak any German, but I can sure understand that. I started leaving. They said, come back. I said, what's the matter? We got to know what airplane you're in. Every 5 minutes, an airplane comes overhead. If you don't come until late in the afternoon, we couldn't see anything, let alone a little package. We got to know the airplane. I said, I don't know. We were flying mostly 54s by then. We got rid of the Goonie birds, the 2-engine ones, as soon as we could. But I said, I don't know. We get different paint jobs wherever it came from around the world. And I just take whatever one's loaded. And then I got an idea. I got a flight scholarship in 1941 before the war. As a farm kid, didn't have any money, but I got a scholarship. Come over to the farm, wiggle the wings of the airplane to let Dad and Mom know I was flying that airplane. Did spins the first time, but Dad is going to ground me if it did that again. Scared Mom and him both. So I said, kids, look, when I come over Tempelhof, the radio beacon right in the middle of the field, to go over East Berlin to come to land, I'm going to wiggle the wings of that big airplane like that. When you see that, that's got it. He said, holy cow, you know. They didn't say holy cow. I didn't know what if they did. I didn't know what he said. But well, let's get this started. I took a lot of movies around town and through the Jeep and head back to Rhine-Main that night, 2 hours before I need to take off. We couldn't buy much gum and candy, the military. We had a ration card, only so much a week. I went to the co-pilot engineer and I said, John and Elkins, give me your ration card. What are you going to do?